Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of A Healthy Dose of Fran. Today the Avatar returns in a brand new video looking at one of my most favourite bending elements from the series, fire. But something about it has always been a little bit strange to me from pretty much the start of the series, and that's why fire is the only element that can be created. So today I'll be exploring why firebenders can create fire. Now, before I start this video, I want to give a huge thanks to the fantastic folks over at Avatar The Last Airbender fan club, the group that I'm a part of on Facebook. You guys have put up with all of my questions and theories and kind of getting answers from you guys as to your own thoughts, so you have helped so much with this video. So for anyone who wants to join that group, I will link it in the description box down below. But to all the guys at Avatar fan club, thank you so much for your help. So the world building in Avatar has always been something that has fascinated me, especially to do with the bending element, because it's something that you haven't necessarily seen that often, or at least I hadn't before Avatar, and it's just something that I know in every conversation I've ended up having is the discussion of what element would you want to have. Now, often I've gone with Earth just because it just makes life easier travelling around, but from all those discussions there's always been one thing that's bugged me in the back of my mind, and that's why fire seems to have more power than all the others, because it can be created. Unlike in the film, where for some reason they got rid of that element, but you know what? I'm just not going to talk about that abomination anymore. But in the show, the creation of fire was something that gave the firebenders a bit of an advantage over their other bending counterparts. And that's why I kind of wanted to explore why they can create their own fire. Now, this will be looking at those things in a scientific and philosophical and all that sort of stuff sense to try and figure out the reasoning behind it. But of course, if you guys have your own theories, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below. Now, from my conversations with those on the Avatar fan group, there are two possible ideas as to how fire can be created. So let's start with number one. This first idea is the idea that firebending is technically a part of energy bending. Now, from what we learned from Iroh,
remember, once you separate the energy, you do not command it. You are simply its humble guide. Breathe first.
Fire comes from the breath. It is a form of energy that builds in your stomach, and we learn this during his teachings of lightning bending, where you have to direct the lightning through your stomach because that's where the energy builds, and redirect it out. Now, what's interesting about that is this discussion of energy within the person. Now, of course, there is energy in all benders and all people in the Avatar universe, but because all the other benders bending elements are in the natural world, whereas fire isn't a natural element, it is a chemical reaction. This energy bending aspect for the other benders doesn't necessarily mean anything for them in particular, but to firebenders this energy is important. This energy is to be bent by the firebenders. It is bending this energy to create a chemical reaction. Now, as we possibly know from all of our science classes back in the day, when you create a chemical reaction to create a flame, there has to be a spark of something, some energy to build up to this chemical reaction. And that is the energy within the bender. They are bending it to their will to create this chemical reaction to create fire and expel it from their bodies. So it also stands to reason this would connect to, for example, when Zuko is struggling with his bending. It is because the energy and the chi in his body is blocked because his reason for bending and the thing that drove his bending in the past is no longer a reactor for him. His reaction for firebending in the past was anger. That had changed. So he had to find a new reaction to create this chemical that would give off the fire energy. And so this reaction was found. Now this idea of a chemical reaction makes sense because not only do we see firstly that fire bending can come in different colours, such as Azula's blue fire, which by the way I plan to explore a little bit more into as to why her fire is blue. I know this has been discussed, but I want to do it myself, so yeah, I'll be talking about that in future. As well as lightning bending, because all these forms are part of different reactions. But to move away from the science aspect, because I don't know that much about science. I technically failed my science GCSEs, but you don't want to hear that side part of my life. So to carry on from chemical reactions, let's look on to the second idea. Now this second idea I think is the one that I prefer the most because it's something that has been discussed in the Avatar universe itself. Chi and bending Chi. Now with the discussion with Guru Patik, with Aang who has to unlock his chakras, each of the bending elements have their own chakra, something that blocks it. But what could be different with Firebenders Chi is how it connects to the energy within a firebender. Fire is a form of energy, and by using Chi, one can direct the reaction of this energy and create fire. The reason why Chi will help in terms of the firebenders creating fire is because, as I've mentioned before, unlike other elements that have the actual matter that their bending uses, fire doesn't have this. It is not a natural thing in the world. It's something that is created through a chemical reaction, and as such it's not naturally in the world. However, Chi and the energy within our bodies is natural. So firebenders are using this natural source of energy and spiritual energy within our bodies to create the reaction that fire needs. Which again, as I've said before, would make sense as to why Zuko struggled to use his bending after changing, because the Chi that was in his body was tangled up because it was finding a new source of drive for fire. And so Chi and energy are interconnected because you can't have one without the other, especially for firebending. Fire is possibly one of the most strongest elements in Avatar. Not only is it able to create itself by using the Chi and the energy within one's body, but it can also very easily be stunted as well. If your Chi and your energy is blocked, if there is something hampering you from allowing the flow of energy through you, your bending will stop. But if that is able to flow, you have a never-ending source of energy and power that can continue to run its course if you set off this reaction. And I think that's what makes firebending the most interesting element, because it is so different. It may be slightly overpowered in the sense that it can create itself, but I think it's interesting that it is the power within a person that can create this element. But what do you guys think? Do you agree with me that it is the Chi and energy within a person that helps create the element of fire, or do you think it is something else? If you do, let me know in the comment section down below. In general though, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. Now I know what you're thinking. Where did Fran get this fantastic t-shirt from? Well guys, you can get one yourself because I now have my own merchandise store, which is linked in the description box down below. You can get shirts like this, you can get mugs, you can get hoodies, you can get anything and everything, including Avatar related merchandise, my channel related, and basically anything else you can think of. So go check that out in the description box down below. But also in the description box is the link to my Instagram and my Patreon, where on Patreon there are now 5 levels of access available, more, including such things as early access, poll involvement, future stay, and a personalised video message from yours truly. So if you can support me on Patreon, be sure to go follow that link. But if you can't support me on Patreon, don't worry, I can always do with another subscriber here on YouTube. So go to the button down below or click the one popping up here on screen. If you want to check out my previous Avatar videos, the playlist will be popping up here. And then something else for you beautiful people will be popping up here. But again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.